Today I'm bringing you Organism X. This is a creature I created from the idea that you can take an animal, put it in an environment, in a new environment in comparison to their original environment, and this animal will have to use evolution to adapt to its new surroundings, and its chances of survival will increase. So this product is beyond anything available in markets, catalogs, shops. In fact, it is targeted by researchers and scientists. It goes from the idea of cells and being able to implant them and then being able to produce life, which now has this cell that will help you evolve in new environments. So I'm going to give you a brief description of what my animal used to look like and where it used to live, and how now, based on its new environment, it has evolved, or which adaptations I made to it so that it can evolve in its new environment or habitat. So my original animal lived in an Arctic habitat. It was a unique combination of various animals. This new environment that I subjected my animal to is now a tropical rainforest. I chose this habitat because I wanted it to be completely different from anything that it used to live in. In order for my animal to live in such environment, it needs to be able to adapt and evolve. For the animal to adapt to a new environment, the antlers that it used to have on top of its head are no longer visible, and they're no longer there. This is because the antlers drew too much attention to it, which could attract possible predators. I didn't want this in a tropical rainforest, since a tropical rainforest is high risk of many animals and many big predators that could attack my animals because of the changes I made to it, which I will tell you now. The animal also underwent structural, functional, and behavioral changes in order for it to have a higher chance of survival. As evolution continues, one structural adaptation that I made to my animal is that in order to adapt, I had to change the overall color to be able to, so that my animal would be able to hide and blend into its environment, making it less likely to be killed by predators. The majority of my original animal was white, as it lived in an Arctic setting, and now I changed it to black so that it could blend into mud or the forest like area, or even at night during a nocturnal setting. Another structural adaptation that I made was change its body covering. I changed its body covering to a short and dense fur to adapt to the climate and weather, since it's often warm and rainy in a rainforest. Another structural adaptation is that I made my animal smaller with longer claws so that it could climb up trees in an easy manner to get its food, such as fruits, insects, birds, and etc. A recessive structural trait that I added only to some of this species was a bright feathered-like covering that it could be found just on the arms. The purpose of this was to attract birds and other animals so that the animal can eat them. It was used to lure them in. One functional and physiological change that I made was that I made the stomach and salivary glands much smaller compared to the original because of the size of the animal and because it does not eat as much as the original. Its digestive system also changed due to the fact that this new animal tends to eat both meat and vegetables equally, which is because meats and vegetables, you're able to find them in tropical rainforests, whereas the original animal only ate meat. One behavioral adaptation that I made to this animal is that it does not hibernate. Since the climate in the rainforest stays warm throughout the seasons, it no longer needs to go into hibernation. Another behavioral feature in this new animal that I created is that it's diurnal, meaning it is awake during the day, and it has this feature to avoid contact with its predators, most of them which are nocturnal. As far as the creature's development goes, the way that this creature is developed is that it's similar to human development. Once the creature becomes fertilized, the cells divide in astonishing numbers. The backbone is first developed, and then the neural cord. As time passes, the skin and the skeleton develop fully. As far as genetics go, as mentioned before, a genetic trait that can be passed down is that feather-like covering on the arms. It is a recessive trait because the dominant trait is to have that normal black fur on the arms, which is what most of the species of this animal has. As far as the immune system of the creature goes, it is much more efficient than in comparison to most animals and human beings themselves. Most of the work is done by a special cell referred to as the Y cell. The Y cell is able to identify and kill antigens without the need of producing antibodies. It does this because it's able to recognize all antigens, and since there are many, they are able to kill the antigen more rapidly. And finally, the respiratory system of this creature is unlike any other. It is similar to humans, to the human respiratory system, which is how the passageway of oxygen travels when it is inhaled and exhaled. When the oxygen/air is inhaled, it travels through the pharynx, larynx, trachea, and then it separates into air passages known as the bronchial tubes. The bronchial tubes then lead the air towards the creature's lungs, which are much larger due to the creature's size and the differences between human anatomy and this creature's anatomy. And because it needs to hold down its breath for long periods of times when swimming underwater. This is because I believe that my creature is going to be in swamp-like areas where there will be obviously forests, and there will be rivers. For my creature to be able to get its prey, I want it to be able to hold its breath underwater, or even so be able to breathe underwater. Instead of the alveoli found in the human respiratory system, this creature has microscopic pores throughout its lungs that allow the air to travel throughout the body. The carbon dioxide then travels through the same passageway and it is removed from the body. This creature usually only uses this form of obtaining oxygen when it needs to be underwater. This creature has another form of obtaining oxygen, which is that it uses most of the following. It has pores throughout its entire body, which is covered by selectively permeable membrane that allows oxygen/air to get into the body. The oxygen travels into the bloodstream and into the cells. The membrane also filters the air. The carbon dioxide that is created by the cells then goes up to the bronchial tubes and travels up until it is removed from the body as the creature exhales. That is the creature's respiratory system. If we are able to use animals as trial subjects with this organism, and I know that we will be able to use it in humans. It's that what you're purchasing. It's the idea that you will be able to create life in different forms so that humans have a higher chance of survival in their environments. By using a small subject like this organism X, which is an animal that I created, you will be able to apply the same idea to humans, create new organs, be able to put them in different situations of environments, and these humans will be able to adapt to their habitats.